Welcome. This video is going to be the first of few videos coming in the future. So what we're working with is 1955 500 twin motor, which is a Royal Enfield, but this particular one is a 1955 Indian Tomahawk, which is same as the Meteor Minor, I believe so, in the Royal Enfield line. Here's the motor. Motor was running, but I had some few issues with it, which I thought of just taking it out of the frame and going over the whole machine. So it did leak a lot of oil. There was a couple of issues here. Down here, there was some issue with this broken. That's the bottom filter or the bottom drain. There's a few other small issues with it, so we're going to deal with all of those and take care of them, and we're going to rebuild this motor. So this particular video is going to be tearing down the motor and taking notes on what needs to be replaced, what needs to be plated, polished, whatever needs to be done. So I did take off these covers, the valve covers or the tappet covers off, and I do have everything kind of set aside. I'm gonna label them, and these are going to go for zinc plating because cadmium plating is kind of hard to find around here. So I'm gonna label all of these, keep them all kind of cataloged, and then it'll be easier later on when we're rebuilding it. Like I said, the covers were taken off. There's few issues in this one, in the cover as well. So there's wrong kind of bolt put on here, whereas these are the studs and the nuts go on them. So this is not right. And then there is another one over here, which is a standard American thread put on here, so I'm gonna have to replace this. So while we're doing all of that stuff here, another thing I want to show you is this got broken here, and that was my fault. I'll show you. So that's the pipe over here. These are oil feeds. So when I was loosening this bolt, I didn't hold this to put pressure on here, so I just had it like this. When I cranked it, with the force, it broke right there. So there's a leak right there in the oil feed now. So I'm gonna have to take care of this too in the final build. All of these are kind of very delicate because these are copper. I think they're zinc plated or something, cadmium plated. They're very soft, so when you open these, just be careful with these lines. All of them, they go all the way down. And so 2, 4, there's 6 of them. There's an issue with the manifold here too. It's a wrong kind of a nut on there, so they'll have to be replaced. So I'm gonna start taking this apart, and you can see what's going on. So to remove the head, there's 3 nuts right here, and there's 2 on each side. So you got 5 this side and 5 that side. So a total of 10. These are kind of tricky, so watch so you don't strip the nut. Very importantly, use British tools, and then that's half the battle. So to take the heads off, these heads are 2 separate pieces. So to take them off, I have to take the carburetor manifold and then these can come off, they can pull off separately. Just trying to get them loosened up, and I don't want to hit over here. This is a solid part. I can hit over here, hit here, and this is the steel exhaust part of it. I can hit lightly over there. I want to avoid hitting any of these fins here. The other side seems to be loose. It's coming loose, so take your time. With any broken fin, it's hard to repair. I'm gonna get these off and then I'll come back to you guys. So that's how one of the heads looks like. Doesn't look too bad, but we're gonna make it all new. Those are the push rods right there, and they are same length, so I don't think so there's a inlet and a exhaust difference. We'll check that out later. So as you can see over here, a head gasket there, and right there, it's a copper one. The later models didn't have a gasket, but this one does. And gasket looks pretty decent. We'll see what happens with that. And there's a lot of oil over here all around, and we'll see what's happening with that. We'll check the clearance on all the piston and the bottom end as well. And for now, we got to take off the other side, which should be easier now since this side is out. I was having trouble with the inside, and there's steel washers on underneath the nut, which is stuck to the head, the aluminum part of it, and I think that's just not letting it go. So I found out this is a nice spot to hit right there. That's pretty solid. And in the front is the exhaust metal piece. So I'm gonna get this out of here and I'll show you how it looks inside where the pistons are. Another thing that I've seen is it helps if you kick it over. If the head is not in stress with the push rods, then it pulls up easier. So maybe I'll move the engine and see where it fits right. There it goes. Second barrel out. Now these barrels look like identical. It seems like you can interchange them because they both have these fittings for the oil. I don't know if you can see those. Let me zoom in a bit. They're right here. Those are for the lines, and there are two in the front too, and then those are blocked off by a screw like this. So I believe they could be interchanged, but I'm trying to keep them with the piston, everything same. If I do have to change the pistons, then obviously it wouldn't matter. So I'm trying lifting the barrels. Oh, the barrels are coming off easy. So the barrels are not tied down by any nut or nothing. It's through just the 5 bolts on each side that holds the barrels intact. So the other side might need some help. It shouldn't be that bad. And once we'll get this out, I'm gonna get the magneto out and eventually the gearbox separate, and we'll get to the cases and see what's going on. Both barrels are loose. This one I had to do a little effort on, and they're both loose. I'm gonna leave them as is because I don't want the pistons to the connecting rods to be banging while I'm trying to get all this off here. So I'm gonna leave this as is. So I'm gonna try to get the magneto off, but before that, tackle the clutch side. I'm gonna take off the clutch side and everything so I can get the gearbox separated from the casing, engine casing itself. And things are coming out okay. Haven't broken anything yet, so we're good. And let's see what else. Everything's good. We'll keep on going. So this is the clutch side. I've never opened anything like this before. I mean like this, but BSAs and Triumphs and all, but this is the first time I'm doing Enfield, the older clutch. I see there's a big nut right here, which is, I think it's about 2 inches. So I might have to get a socket for that one. There's little grooves in here where the chain rides. It shouldn't be a big deal. We'll see if I can replace that or fix it. If not, it should last a little bit more. That is the chain tensioner here. I did loosen it up, so the chain should sit right about like that. And this is the next thing we're gonna open up. I do see somebody has blocked off the breather here. Not sure why. So this part is good, but I'm gonna have to replace the pipe that goes right there. Magneto looks good. Missing the dynamo right there. I did buy one online, and that's sitting right there, and that is also from 1955. I didn't know that, but I see it says 55 on there, and it came off a 1955 single cylinder Woodsman. So that's also Indian branded Enfield from 55. So all this should match right in here, and that should be all good. These nuts or these bolts seem out of place. Please comment, let me know if those are original or they look original. Rest of it looks fairly original. I might change the chain in the final build. We'll see how much wore down that chain is. All these look good. The front looks good. So in short, once we get this off, springs come off. With the springs, there's a sleeve for the springs. And those come off, the pressure plates come off. This is for the push for the pressure plate. And there might be a ball bearing inside, I'm not sure. but that connects to the other side of the gearbox. So we're gonna put this away. Then there is, so this the pressure plate. There is the actual clutch right here. Then there's a plate or this piece right here, and that comes off. It looks like that, and underneath is the center bolt. So now all of these, this is for the inside, that will go right there, and that's the outside. So all of these will come off, and I believe there's another plate right there which I can't get it out right now, but once we pull this off, it'll come off. This chain is unlinked chain, there's no linkage in it, so this whole thing have to come out in one piece. And this is a big nut. I'm going to see if I can loosen it up, but I might have to buy a socket for this 2-inch, a little plus over 2-inch socket. So I'm going to see if I can get a 2-inch socket. If it fits, then it'll work. Otherwise I might have to work around it. I'm going to try this. If it works, it works. Yeah, it seems to work. But for the final assembly, I will definitely get the socket for that. I did put a screwdriver right here just to hold it, otherwise it'll keep on turning the engine. It's got a lot of threads on it. There's no locking washer behind it or anything like that, and I would have to check the parts book to see if there ever was a locking washer behind it. But let's see if this moves. I'll take this out. So this thing moves pretty good out. I'm gonna have to see if the clutch, okay, so this might be locked with the bearing behind, so I might have to open this to actually get the whole bucket out. So this maybe I can get out, maybe not. I'll just wait till I open this nut and then get the whole thing out in one piece. So I'm using 7/16 Whitworth. It's a half inch BS right over there, and I'm gonna crank this open. So now I gotta see what's going on. I have to somehow lock the inner. Oh, here. You might have to do that. It's fairly loose. So that was, all I did was just hold it and it came. So I don't think so. That's how it's supposed to be. And it come loose pretty good. There is a spring washer behind it. We'll have to check on that as well, if that is original. We'll put that away. Now, we'll put something underneath so if there are any ball bearings, they will fall right in there. I don't want to lose any of them. I'm gonna go ahead and put something underneath there. Alrighty, let's see if we can get this out. Might give me a better view what's going on behind. This is what the dentists use. Okay, that's the last plate there. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So this, once you get the last plate out, see this? In here, there's a ring that's holding the bucket to the middle part of it. So I believe if I get this out, then I should be able to get this whole bucket out. So that is the ring that keeps the bucket in place. And now we can pull this whole thing out. Wow, look at this bearing right here. That rides right on here. Unlike Triumph and BSA, this is a pretty neat setup right here. Everything looks good here. Once cleaned up, it should be fine. I don't see any issues using the same thing. Might have to see about the bearing, if this is available. But it's coming around pretty good. These are pretty good. Thread is nice. We'll have to check the bearing. That's the main bearing inside. We'll get to that. This is pretty gouged up. We'll have to do something about that, because this depth right here, it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit in there. Now we gotta see how to get this off the shaft, the main shaft. I need a puller. I'm gonna do some research how to take this off. I'm gonna try to pry it a little bit, knock it, but I won't put too much pressure. So I might end up using a puller on it. Okay, here's something that will save you some money and as well some time. So this is the clutch center. Usually you would need a special tool, a puller, for extracting the center out of there. And those are about $45 on eBay if you can get one. So I thought about it, and what I did was I took a bolt with a matching nut, and I put a washer between the nut and that, and this piece right here is the stock center, whatever that, you know, it's part of the clutch here. So this I didn't need, but anyways, so I put a washer in here behind, and I put a nut, and then I centered this to the center main shaft, and then once I tighten this, it's gonna pull this whole thing. So these screws are the stock screws that were part of the clutch. So all I needed was a bolt, which doesn't need to be that long, and it needs to be longer in here between this part and this, and a matching nut to the bolt here. And once I tighten this, since the washer is backing up the nut there, it's going to pull the whole clutch assembly out. No tool required, just if you have some, like a bolt laying around. So hopefully that's going to come around, and we're good to go. It'll save me time and ordering a tool online. So this is going to be a better example. I got a smaller bolt here which is threaded all the way. Then a nut there and a washer behind, and I have it halfway out but the other bolt was not threaded all the way, so I'm going to use this, pull this out, it's going to come right off. As you can see, the back plate is coming off. Easy peasy. So, save me the time of ordering a special tool where I could use just the stock plate. All I needed was just a setup like this. That was it. A bigger washer that goes behind, and a nut, and then screw. Just came right off. Now we can move on.